Good evening. Yes, good evening, everyone. So, welcome to today's class. So, we'll be looking at UX writing and content design. So, in today's class, what you will learn is understanding the role of UX writing and content design, and how to write out clear and concise and useful copy, and how to apply tone and voice, and also brand language, and also how to design content with the user in mind. All right. So first of all, we'll be looking at what is UX writing. So we know that UX writing is the craft of creating clear, concise, and useful text within digital products. So UX writing helps or guide users through interfaces and making experiences intrusive and effortless. So from buttons to notifications to onboarding flows. So every word serves a purpose, which is actually going to be what will help users get things done easily. So we say here that good UX writing equals to functional plus human plus purposeful. So before you can say that your UX writing is good, it has to meet all these criteria, which is it has to be functional, it has to be human, and the reason or what you are writing, there has to be a purpose for it. Okay. So we now have what is content design, which we say content design focuses on solving user problems through content, which combines research, writing structure, and strategy to ensure users get the right information at the right time across website, applications, and services. All right. So uh, UX writing or content isn't just about writing. It is not just about writing. It is designing content like you are designing a product. So anytime you are writing out content, you should be thinking of a product and not just a design. Most of us just design because we want the interface to be intrusive. We want the interface to be fine. We want it to be catchy. We want it to meet user needs. But when designing, think of it as a product. When we are talking about a product, I will say a product is a way you see an element from end to end. So I can't say a thing is a product unless I can use it and then my needs is actually being made. Okay, so a product like, let's say a cream. So a cream is a product which I can use it well on my skin. We have chair. Chair is a product I can sit on it. It can carry me. So that is what a product is. So when you are designing content, think product and not design, or think product and not writing. All right. So why does this actually matter? So we say because if you have a good content, a good UX writing, it will reduce confusion. All right. So good copy will also drive action, and content is actually user experience. If your content is not catchy, if your content is not straightforward, users are going to be confused. Okay. Content is user experience, and words is equals to part of the interface. So when you have the right word, and that is actually going to make the interface functional. Okay. So when done right, UX writing and content design build trust, reduce friction, and improve product success. All right. So we'll now look at the core principles of UX writing. So we say it's clarity, brevity, empathy, consistency, and guidance. So in charity, we said always choose simple and straightforward language. And brevity, we said less is less is more. Avoid jargons. Okay, get to the point. Empathy, understand user emotions and need. When writing, think of a user while scrolling through. What does the user? How is the user feeling? All right, there has to be consistency. align with design systems and tone guidance, all right? And also help users complete tasks without second guessing. That's where the guidance comes in. All right, so what are the impact of a good UX writing? So we say good UX writing reduces drop-offs and abandonment. It also improves task completion rates, and also enhances overall user satisfaction. Not forgetting that it builds trust and brand personality. Okay, so let's look at this UX writing for this element. So we are going to look at some few elements: buttons, input field, drop points, drop downs, and I think few others. All right, so let's look at a button. What are the UX writing for buttons? Okay, so first of all, what are buttons? So we all know what buttons are, which we can have call to action buttons and the likes of it, outline buttons, text buttons, and all the rest. So buttons are clickable elements that are used to trigger actions. They communicate calls to action to the user and allow users to interact with pages in a variety of ways. Okay, so what are the best practices when designing or when writing? In few classes back, we talked about best practices in designing buttons. Now, in these buttons that you have, what are the best practices in while writing while writing text on these buttons? Okay, what are the best practices for call to action? What are the best practices if we want user to log in, if we want users to actually use the product? What are the best practices? So we say buttons should be easy to find among other elements, including other buttons. All right, so that's why our most used, or where we want users to actually focus on, that's why when designing we use primary buttons for those type of buttons. All right, so that it can be catchy and then it will stand out among other elements. So buttons content should be clear and accurately labeled. This is going to encourage users to take action with an action-oriented verb. Okay, so when writing a label on it, let it be action-oriented verb. As we proceed, we are going to understand this better. Then prioritize action within the page and experiences based on business and user needs. So for most use cases, only one primary button should be used on a page. Okay, only one primary button should be used on a page so our users are clear about the most important, or what the most important action is. All right, this is just saying what I said before. So don't utilize multiple primary action in an hurry, because this will cause an imbalance in hierarchy and also confusion about what actions should be taken. All right, also reserve primary buttons for the most important actions when displaying a series of buttons. So don't use a button variant for an action that's not intended for. Okay. Now, what are the UX writing tips for a button? So encourage action. So buttons should start with a powerful verb, except for common actions such as done, close, cancel, or okay. So this is, we know all this. So if, for example, someone wants to delete, well, you know whether to put cancel or go ahead with the delete. So this is all understood. This, we understand this. Please hold on. Okay, Mr. Yemi, that's not it. Okay, so buttons should start with a powerful verb, except for common actions, which we can't. There's no way we can actually go or bypass this particular UX writing. It cannot be anything more than done. It cannot be anything more than close. So for payments, you cannot just say QR code. What is the user doing? So the best practice is to do it, pay with QR code. Now the user knows, oh, I am paying with a QR code. So this is the UX writing tip, one of it. Pay with your QR code Don't just write QR code while designing. Another thing is templates. What do you mean by templates? Okay. So explore templates is the right verb. The verb there is explore. Okay. And a template there is what the user is actually doing. Okay. You can't just say templates and then expect users to know, oh, that's where templates are going to be. Explore templates is the right way and right manner. So avoid articles. Okay, while writing, avoid articles because it improves readability and also drives immediate action. Remember, the purpose of this training is to actually make us a product designer. If you can't avoid this, or if you don't design or write with if you don't write with sorry, excuse me. When you say explore, what are you exploring? Okay, gifts. When you tell users explore, the question will come in, what are they exploring? So you have to include the template, explore templates. All right. Then, okay, so avoid articles. As I was saying, the purpose of the training is to make you a product designer. For you to be a product designer, you have to design with intent. You have to write with intent. You have to write to actually make a purpose. So you don't just design or you don't just write because you feel like writing. All right. So um, when I said avoid articles, delete an image. What is that? Okay. So you said delete image. That is perfectly fine. Delete an image, delete their images, delete except maybe you are going with delete all images. That's when you can now put in to tell a user that, oh yes, you are deleting every images you've selected, or delete images can still do. So delete an image is a jargon. All right, get book, gets the book. We can now see that actually we now know, apart from the fact that, oh yes, most times we feel English is not actually needed, but when once you read it, you understand, gets the book. Well, gets book is perfect. All right. So also when designing or when writing for a button, you should all write to talk to users. All right. Write with the mindset that you are talking to users. So interface is a dialogue between product and users. So product communicates through headings and copies, and while users respond to those headings and copies using buttons. Okay, so we have this particular don't. What skin type do you have? Okay, which we have a caption which says take skin type quiz to figure out whether your skin is oily, combination, dry or sensitive. Then we now have a button that says start. What do we feel is the right call to action button to be used? Is there anybody that can figure that out? What do you think is that should be the right call to action button here? Is there anybody that is going to try this? So looking at this particular screen, we have the do and the don't. Then reading through this, we have what skin type do you have? And then we have a call to action button that says start. So what do you feel should be the right call to action button? Okay, start skin type quiz. Okay, that is Vera. Anybody else? One more or two more answers. Nobody else is trying. Take quiz. Okay. Okay. So let's see. So what should be? So what skin type do you have? Take so the take skin type quiz to figure out whether your skin is oily combination. So what a user wants to do, he wants to find out if he or um if his or her skin type, okay, is actually oily or is actually dry or sensitive. So find out is a good call to action button to be used here. Take quiz. Well. That could still do. Yeah, take quiz could still work. Yeah, that still works. Right. Then start skincare quiz. Well, that is an article. Vera, remember in few slides back we talked about avoiding using articles. Right. So start or yes, start skin type quiz is too much for users. All right. Avoid articles why writing on the buttons. All right. So what are my benefits? So instead of using generic word like search or try, highlight the exact benefit users will get by clicking a button. So instead of using search, so if the platform is all about job, then tell the users find job. If it is about creating a resume, tell the user create resume. If it is about consultation, tell the users get consultation. If it is about test, tell the users start test now. If it is about anything, so because that is basically what the application or what the product is all about. The need for that product is to solve a problem, and how do you solve it? Is only that problem you are solving, except in most cases where a particular product is solving more problems than okay, more problems, but there comes in a situation whereby you have different sections for that in a website. So let's say you have services. In under services, you state the services that you are going or that you are doing. So under those services, if one of the services is training, so it says start training, I'm training now. If it is about finding jobs, okay, now say find jobs, right? So this is one way uh, we can always go about this. Then boosting productivity. So make the sign up button more compelling by focusing on the benefits for users. All right. Consider what users can do after signing up to shift the emphasis from registration to the value of signing up. So writing a sign up for a sign up button, let it talk about the benefits or what users are to gain from signing up. So you know, just tell users signed up. Well, signed up to do what, right? So this approach can significantly boost effectiveness. So you can see here we have sign up instead of using this. So you can now say start learning Spanish if it has to do with learning. So most times, if it is not only about Spanish, you can just say start learning. So if you are creating logo, you can now say create logo, find jobs. All right. So that is all for buttons. So let's look at input field. So when we talk about input field, what are the best practices? So what is input field first? Oh, that's okay. So what are the best practices for this? So we say number of questions, only ask questions needed for the purpose of the form to keep it as short as possible. Sorry about that. So keep only ask questions needed for the purpose of the form to keep it as short as possible. So if some optional questions must be asked, make sure they are clearly marked as optional. All right. So the best practice is using, you can now see we have first name, we have last name is marked as optional. All right. So in most cases, you can use asterisks to present or to represent those input fields that are required, because users don't just assume that, oh yes, this is required, oh this is not required. And then if, let's say, I do not want to fill up my company name, then I just skip the company name, and then clicking on continue is telling me company name is required. So to avoid that, you have to put in, yes, it is optional or it is required for you to fill this. Okay, so number of questions. So inputs should be arranged into a single column so users can read in form of a straight line down the page. So multiple columns disrupt vertical momentum. So you, with a Z-shaped reading pattern, and then can cause users to incorrectly group fields together. All right, so this is what I mean. So if you can look at the first one is just vertical. But when we look at the don'ts, we now have the first name, last name in a zigzag or in a Z manner, which is a don't when it comes to UI for input. So even if you were to use this method, it would be a first name and a last name by the side. Okay, then password. Well, this is except when you are registering. Yes, this is registration field. So password, then confirm password. But in a process whereby it is not a bulky registration, which you are not supposed to have a bulky registration for users, so that users will not get uninterested, so that users will not get bored while registering. Okay, so so that's one thing you should we should always do. So use a straight line and avoid a zigzag kind of UI. So input field height. The height of your input field should match the height of your primary button. All right, this is to maintain visual rhythm and hierarchy. All right. So if you look at this, if you look at the don't, can observe that well, the input field here could be 48, and the sign up button here at like my far right, if you look at it, the don't section of it could be something like 38 or 40. All right. So the do is your input field height should be the same input field of like the same height of your button. They should maintain that height, that consistency should be there. So I think most of us have struggle with this. Okay, it's my input field. Should my input field be the same height as my button, or should my button be should be I mean should reduce more than my input field, or the vice versa, right? So when designing, your input field should be the same as your button. So your input field length, all right? So the length of your input field can vary depending on where and how it is being used. So in general, all input fields in a form should be the same length. However, the length can also vary to avoid or to afford what the length of the answer should be. So let's look at what do we mean. So if you look at this, credit card, the first, or the yes, they do. Most people will now put CVV under it with, it's just three numbers that are needed there. Why do we need such a lengthy input field for it? The expiration date does not really need that much details. It is 6 in total, or 7 character that are always inside. Okay, so when designing expiration date, you can now see this is being, you can see how neat it is. Even users will be comfortable feeling this the do part of the UI. Why? Because it is simple. Apart from that, it is what they are already used to. Remember when we talked about evaluation? Okay, it is heuristic evaluation. We talked about when designing, we should think about real world inputs or real world components, what has been used before or what users are already used to. All right. I hope we are following. I hope we are following. Let me know that I don't know. I'm not talking to myself. Okay, yes, thank you. Okay, so let's continue. So what are the UX writing tips when it comes to buttons? Sorry, when it comes to input field, it's input field we are working with. So label, when it comes to labeling, your label should be short and concise. It should be short and have a concise label. What is your email? What? Well, we know that you are asking for an email input, like you want me to input my email address. So why did you now ask me what is your input? So email address is okay. I notice most of the design I see, they'll now see email address. Then inside of the input field, they'll now ask you what is your email address. To me, it is a wrong UX writing. If you are using email address on top, and then your tip should also be email address. Your tip and your label should be the same. It should not be different. Okay? Because users already know that it is email address you're requesting for. The same thing goes here, name and what is your name. Name is okay. All right, so default state, avoid extra verbs like enter, search in a default text. All right, so exactly the same thing I said about when you are writing email address. So address is okay, or email address is okay. So nothing like enter address. We know the input field is for entering data. So why are you telling me? I would say it's the duplication of information, because I already have the knowledge that the input field is to enter an address which the label has already said. So why am I seeing enter address again? So address is okay. All right, Zinab, go ahead.
Yes, sir. For this email address and address, sometimes for inside the input field, we write something like abc@gmail.com so that people can know what they're supposed to write there. Is that fine?
Yeah, that's an hint. So that's okay. That's fine. So it's an hint. So that helps users in knowing, oh yes, I'm supposed to add at gmail.com. I'm supposed to add at yahoo.com. I'm supposed to add at company. What company is responsible for this at.com? Because if if you register for, if you go into Google, all right, so if you want to enter your email with Google, you don't need to enter at gmail.com, because well, that is it. I can just enter my email, Benjamin Umo, then enter. It's going to know, yes, that is at gmail.com. But when designing for a platform that, oh yes, this platform, what users, our system does not know which, if it is Gmail, if it is yahoo.com, if it is codehouse.com, KodeCamp.com. So you need to tell the users, yes, while writing this, you need to put the company.com. So it is fine. You can always do that. Okay, so we talk about still with default text. Use actionable default text if only if you need to explain the specific action. So we have the do here. Username, create username. All right, so it is clear that I need to create one. So when you look at this username, there is nothing there. So it's just like, oh, say, let's say username, then you're not writing the username, that's still fine. But when there's nothing there, just like Zinab has asked, if writing at company.com, writing the email then at company.com is fine. Yes, it is fine. All right, so when you put username here, the question here is it an existing username that I used, or is it a new one you actually want me to use? So to explain that no further, create username, you can only use this. Remember when we're talking about actionable default text, actionable. So that means maybe I forgot my username, or maybe I want to create a username. All right. The same goes with password. Create password, or create new password, or yes, use existing password, things like that. All right. So when using, you need to remember I said only if you need to explain it, that is when you can actually use this. But if there is no need for that, then there's no need to go ahead with this action that says create, or this verb that says create username. So error messages, sometimes error happens. So help people get back to work as quick as possible. So this can be done by explaining what happened and giving clear instruction on what users should do next. All right. Don't use permissive languages like you can or please. Most of us, even me personally, I am a victim of this. I like using the word please. Please enter username. Please enter your code. Why are you begging users to do this? Okay. So let's the purpose of this training is going to help us be good product designers. All right, so looking at this example, so we say when an error message is coming up, tell users what they actually need, okay? Because if I said, sorry, your password is too short, well, what do you mean by too short? What is too long for a password? All right, so the first one they do, we can now see we are telling users enter at least 8 characters, whereas they don't, or by my far right, we are now saying sorry, your password is too short. All right. So when entering data, make sure that your error messages is gotten across to users easily, and users can understand it better. All right. So let's see. So that is all for input field. So let's look at drop down. So let's look at drop down. This is interesting. Okay, so the UX writing tips for drop down. What are the UX writing? Duplicating, avoid duplicating, keep content short and precise. So we are talking about notification, and you are telling me notify me daily. You are telling users notify me weekly. Well, was it not notification drop down input field that I choose? So we already know we are looking at choosing the frequency of how our notification should come up. So just saying daily, weekly, monthly is fine. All right. Then think that's basically all for drop downs. So just drop down is well, I say it's let me use is a relative of an input field, because while designing if the same element would use, just that oh we now say yes, um let there be a drop down. Okay, so the same UX2 tips for input field still apply to drop downs too. So one of it, like you should be sure of, is the one we just mentioned, that you should avoid duplication, right? So then the rest you can adapt it from your input field, which we talked about, the height, question, all right, the length of it, and also which we talked about content in terms of label and your default text and the likes of it. All right, error messages. When it comes to drop down, do we always have error messages? Nope. So that is it. All right. So over to the next which is tooltip. All right. So when we say tooltip, this is interesting. Sorry. We all know what tooltip is. Tooltips are those elements that helps users identify what a particular item is all about. Sorry for this duplication. But this is what we are just saying duplication. All right, so what are the UX tips for this? All right, so avoid tool tips if possible. It is good though, but if it is possible, avoid it. All right, so we are talking about total revenue. We know what total revenue is. Why are you now telling users that it is a total revenue of all the sales? We know that users want to check total revenue of all sales. So it was not necessary. That is duplication of things. All right. We all know what total revenue is all about. That is all about the sales, like total sales that you have made. That is the total revenue. Already there is the total there, and then revenue. Well, that has gotten it for people that did business, anything business. You understand what revenue is all about. Okay, so just write total revenue. Just avoid two tips. That is, it was possible in this case to avoid two tips. So if it is possible, avoid it at all costs. All right. The same thing goes here. Avoid two tips in headings. When doing heading, don't use two tips. All right. Two tips, avoid it when writing in headings, in any heading. All right. So instead, use it in a label, all right, or subtitle, so as to call it. So use subtitle instead. All right. Then keep it short. If you are using a tooltip, let it be short. All right. So replace long notes with the short ones, then with a link to a detailed instruction. If you look at here, we now say 52-week range. So the range of stock prices traded over 52 weeks from lowest to highest, then lane move. So don't just put everything about um this particular text or the instructions that you want to say. Don't put it, it will be too, it can take the entire page. So instead, just take it to maybe a pop-up or whatsoever element you want to use. All right. So what are the UX writing principles when it comes to tooltips? So when it comes to tooltips, I think this is what's supposed to come up here. So always make it short and they make it yeah, then take users to a detail or give users link to take them to a more detailed platform. So we'll be looking at dates, and then we'll be looking at dates in American English. So we have American, then we also have think British English too. And then we Nigerians, we're being colonized by the British, okay? So we use British English. But when it comes to tech, generally, tech uses American English. That's what your computer understands, right? So that's the reason why we are learning dates in American English and also in British. And also, when it comes to a particular user, let's say you are designing for, who is your client? So don't just use LM because, oh, you have seen it being used. And don't just use arrange things because you have seen them being arranged. If your client is an American man, let it be an American English that are using. If it is a Nigerian man, well, you know it is British English that we are using. That's our official English, okay? All right, so let's look at our dates in American English. All right, so we said in an American English, month goes first. I know most of us did not know this. So when you write dates in American English, the month comes first before the day, then followed by the year. All right. So it is the month, then the day, then the year. So if you want to remove the year, then it is okay. Month and day is still fine. It is not day and month. That is an American English. All right. So British English is going to be the vice versa. So now in also an American English, commas are used to typographically separate the day from the year. It is, take note of that, it separates the day from the year. So that's why we have March 23rd, 2025. All right. Then Monday, March 23rd or 23. 23rd is not allowed. Sorry about that. It's not allowed. When we go down, we are going to see that too. 23rd, 21st, 22nd, it is not allowed. All right. So March 23, 2025, Monday, March 23, 2025. So Monday without a comma, March 23 without a comma, 2025, it is a don't. All right. So you need to separate it, the day from the year. All right. So all right, that is what I just said before. So avoid ordinal numbers. All right, don't use ordinal numbers. For example, first, third, second, etc. So March 23 is okay. March 23rd is a don't when it comes to date in American English. All right, so keep it short. So when space is limited, shorten date. It is allowed to shorten date when space is limited. All right. So for an example, when it comes to list, when it comes to tables, when it comes to charts, and also when it comes to comments, right? So you can just say March 23 or March 23, 2025 if you want to include the year. All right. But if you don't want to, March 23 is just fine. So use abbreviations when space is limited. All right. Be clear about which month or day you are referring to. So what we mean here is year. So we have January, you can use Jan, February, Feb, March, April, May. Well, May, there's no way you can shorten it again. So just leave it as May. It is shortened already. June, you can see June, July, August, August, and the rest of them. The same thing goes to days of the week. Monday, Mon, Tuesday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday, Wed, and Sunday, Sun, and that does the work for you. In terms of when it comes to between July and June, so don't write JU and then leave it. That will not tell you that, oh, is it January? Sorry, is it June they're referring to? Is it July they're referring to? So you now had the L and the N. That separates them. All right. So numerical dates. So when writing dates entirely in numbers, writing dates entirely in numbers has disadvantages. So when it comes to readability and usability. All right. So this is because part of the world use the date in a different order for numeric dates. So instead, use any other date format. If it's absolutely necessary to express a date in numerical date format, use the format year, month, and day, and separate each element using hyphens. So this is what I mean. Do use hyphens, but when it comes to the particular don't, well, slash is, well, it is then just this keeping space is a don't, is a no go area. So intervals, use to if a number range is preceded by or from in a phrase. All right. Use an if a range is preceded by between. So this is what I mean. So you can now say from 2015 to 2019 is allowed between 2015 and 2019. Then 2014 to 2025. You can now see how we are presenting this data. So this is the do when it comes to an American English in terms of date. All right. So we're also going to look at a shortened version. So it is okay to shorten intervals of time, such as years, month, and quarters. All right. This is to save space and avoid truncations issues. All right. So use your best judgment when writing it. What I explained about June and July. So don't just shorten it because you want to shorten it. Shorten it such that users can actually, they can still tell what is there. Okay. So, for an example, you don't need to shorten them within a sentences. You might probably want to do it in a table. All right. So this is another way to go ahead about it. Don't shorten it in a sentence. Don't shorten anything in a sentence. So in a table, you can do that if you have a very bulky table that you are designing on. So look at an example here. You have, this is for quarter. If you see that, you know, well, this is quarter, year, month, you can add in if you want to. If you don't mind, then this year, next quarter, um $20 per MO per month, that someone will know that what that is. Nobody will not come and tell you, that's $20 per morning or $20 per moment. Nobody will say that because they know, oh, that's a shortened version of month. All right, so let's look at dates when it comes to British English. All right. So what are the dates when it comes to British English? When we're talking about um, American English, we said months come first. Okay. But in British English, it is the day that comes first. All right. So when you write the date in British English, the month comes after the day. All right. So we have example here, 23 March 23 March 2025, Monday, 23 March 2025. So this is for a British English. The month before the day is an American English, whereas the day before the month is British English. So the next one is comma. So comma may or may not be used. So they are considered unnecessary and generally omitted. So when it comes to British English, we don't care about the comma. All right. If you did English very well in secondary school or in your university years, so when it comes to let's say English generally, if you are writing dates in English as a Nigerian, dates most times if you write it without a comma, it does not mean anything. Whereas if it is an American English, you need to put the comma, which will now come after the month. All right. Then avoid ordinal number. This is still the same thing. There is no UI, there is no UX writing that accepts or that gives you the right to use ordinal numbers when it comes to UX writing or whatsoever writing you are writing when it comes to it. So avoid it in your design. Nothing like 23rd March. Avoid it. Just 23 March 2025. All right. Also, the same thing, keep it short. All right. It goes the same way. British English does not tell you, oh, you have to complete um, the entire, the entire word. All right. Does not tell you to complete the entire word. And also, in terms of abbreviation, is the same thing. You can abbreviate when it comes to British English. All right. So when it comes to numerical dates, it's the same thing. It is a universal way of presentation of dates, right? So year, month, and day is still fine when it comes to British English. All right. And also when it comes to interval, it is one and the same thing. From, between. So we are using from, you're now joining it with, you're combining it with to. Between is a combination of and, because I'm talking about between two things. You are comparing two things. All right. So I'm saying 2025, between 25 uh, and 2019. All right. Then if you are saying to, you have to use from. Don't say from 2025 and 2020, from 2015 and 2019. All right. That is jargon. Don't say between 2015 and 2019. Sorry, to 2019. No. Say between 2015 and 2019 or from 2015 to 2019. That is perfectly fine. So shorten version, the same thing. You can still shorten it when it comes to British English too. So it is accepted. So the next thing we'll be looking at 24 hours format. So we are talking about 24 hours, like how is it supposed to be when we are designing and then we decide to use 24 hours format. Also, we are going to look at when we decide to use 12 hours format. Okay. So for 24 hours format, column. So use column to separate the hours, minutes, and seconds. It is not a decimal point. So it is a column that does the work. Well, I don't think there's anyone that does not know this, but we still have to remind it. Okay. So when you are looking at date and time, this is used when displaying both day and also time. All right. So either of the UI is good to go. So you can say March 23rd, 23, right? Then 12:59 or March 23 at 12:59 or Sunday, March 23 at 12:59. It is good to go. You can also say your appointment scheduled for Thursday. You can now see how it is being used here. All right. So your appointment scheduled for Thursday, March 23 at 1400 hours. All right. Okay. So noon, midday, and midnight. So where possible, use noon. All right. Where possible, you can use midday or midnight. This is going to make it easier for people to understand. So the club will meet at noon. That is perfect. All right. So intervals, the same thing. So when we were talking about intervals, when we are talking about British English, the same thing comes here. 13:59 to 14:49. That's perfect. So from is now with to. All right, not from and. All right, so those are things you need to take note of. All right, so let's look at the 12 hours clock. Okay, so when we say 12 hours format, so the main rule of it is use numerical, a space, and an upper case letter. That's for 12 hours, not 12 or 8:59 with a lowercase letter. All right, so it has to be with an uppercase letter, 8:59 a.m. And then if you are using it with what region, the time, or what zone are you getting the time for? In Nigeria, it is West African time, all right, which is WAT, what? So this is PST. So that is the African, that is the time, the region for that, right? So don't use a lowercase, don't use title case, don't use toggle case. When I say toggle case, that is you mix small letter, you mix capital letter together. Don't use that, don't use title text case. What you use is an uppercase. This is for 12 hours clock, and this is the main rule. If you miss this, then you've missed it. All right. So shortened version, yes, it is okay to drop the minutes if it is only the hours you want to go for. All right. Also, date and time. This is being used when displaying both date and the time. All right. This we have talked about. The same thing, noon, midday, and midnight. It is quite fine to use noon, midday, and midnight. So instead of saying the club will meet at 12 a.m. or 12 p.m., so you can just say the club will meet at noon. All right. So intervals, it is fine to go with the intervals a.m. to putting a.m. in all both. All right. So if you are talking about the same let's say 1 a.m. to 2 a.m., there is no need for you to put the 1 a.m. to 2 a.m. So you can just say 1 a.m. To 2. That is fine, or 1 to 2 a.m. Right? So that is perfectly fine. So no need to go ahead saying, oh yes, you are starting from 1 a.m. to 2 a.m. You can only use that you are saying 1 a.m. to 5 p.m. to tell the difference of the time. All right. So pro tips when designing this. So when it comes to date and time generally, so display the year only if it is not the current year. So I think if you notice on Facebook, sorry, on WhatsApp, if there are still any of your friends that have not hit their last scene, because I heard, so, or even you yourself personally, you've not hit your last scene. If you look at someone's chat at the top where we have the person's name, you now see last scene. It is not going to put the year of the last scene. So the particular day is okay. So the year, the date, and the month is fine if it has entered the next month. So if not, well, if it has not entered the next month, you can still say, oh, last seen 15 March, last seen 16 January, last seen things like that. All right. So you don't say last seen 25th March 2025. That is not accepted. The same thing goes here. Last seen, you can now see how it is being done here. Last seen 3 days ago, if you are using um exact time and date. All right. So 7 years ago, it's fine. All right. So it is not advisable to say last seen 25th March at 3 o'clock. Why? Last registered or registered at by or registered in 25th March 2015. Those is not needed, or it is not necessary. Okay. So also display the week day if the action happens the next week. So if you look at the UI here, we have Monday 23 March at 15 at 12 59. Then we can now see only March 23 March at 12:59. So display that's if it happens next week. So because it can still be Monday that I am looking at. So which Monday are you talking about? Okay. Or which 23rd are you talking about? So when displaying weekday, make sure or always apply the day, the weekday it happened, which is the Monday. All right. So use yesterday, today, and tomorrow when it is relevant. Okay. Use it when it is relevant. And then we go to the next element we'll be talking about, numbers. Okay. I hope we are following. I hope you are following the response. Okay, thank you. So when we look at numbers, so we said get it right when it occurs. So use number 1, 2, 3 instead of spelling out the numbers. You have 3 messages. There is no need to write it in words. Okay, so you have 3 messages, numerical value is okay. Then bold numbers. You can use bold to highlight user interface such as numbers in instructional text. Pay attention. Most of us are guilty of this. Use it to only highlight elements such as numbers in instructional text. Don't use it for emphasis. All right. Use only one treatment at a time. Color, if you want to, bold, or you want to italize, or you want to indent, you want to give it an indent. All right. So for an example here, there's no need to say you will receive your notification code in 2 days. Then you highlight the 2 days. Let it be normal, okay? You will receive your notification code in 2 days without the 2 days being bold. We don't need to know. We don't need to know that. So you can only use it when you're talking about it's something users really need, okay? Your validation code, your verification code, your PIN, things like that. Those are where you can now say, oh, yes, let me use a bold number. Okay. Also, numbers with commas. Use commas in numbers with 4 or more digits. Okay. This is a basic primary stuff that we've been taught while in primary school. Right. So once you reach 1,000, there have to be a comma. All right. So there has to be comma. Okay. So also don't use comma in error numbers, page, or addresses. So this is the do of this. John Smith, Cape Town, CA 88888. Well, I like it. And also be careful and check the local context. So in some countries, they divide decimal with comma. All right. Like I think in France they do that. So their decimal point is they use comma. All right. So when you are designing, be sure of which local, which where is your client from, or where is the primary users going to be. Okay, so carry decimal to the hundredth place. Well, we all know this. Decimal is always at the hundredth place. Okay, we can't have decimal before or after the hundredth place. And then interval, this we have repeated this again. So from 5 to between 5 and, so that is what should be used. All right, so we look at the next one, which says voice and tone. All right. So number one thing when writing is when be specific. Okay, be specific in your tone, be specific in your word. What, don't use may or may not. So avoid too much use of may. Some in areas where users can see a definitive will. Okay, or can use definitely. So we to use will, has, and the rest of it. All right. So example here, had a new card, you may had a new card. Well, had enough information to understand your company goals, had some information. Some information. What are the some information you are talking about? You want me to just write my company name? That is some information. You want me to skip the name and then write the company address and the rest? That is some information. Okay. So also be verb centered while writing. Okay. Use verb centered writing style. What do we mean? Decide. Don't tell users make a decision. Tell them decide. Connect. You connect, provide a connection. Manage remotely. You can perform remote management of, well, that is too much for users, right? So just go direct to the point, use a verb action, all right, verb centered, tell them what you want them to do. All right, the next thing goes here, no empty words. Make sure that all your words have meaning. Okay, the empty ones are to be removed. No need to assert the existence of things. Okay, so what do we mean? So the do is, if you are an existing bank customer, okay, our office is located at the exit from the subway station. The presence of rules helps to negotiate faster. So this, we said rules helps to negotiate faster. Our office is at the exit from the subway station. If you are a bank customer, that is fine. So there's no need to existing located at office. You know that you want to actually locate it. All right. So the next thing we have is present tense. Commas are used to typographically separate the day from the year. We talked about this. So clients want to invest. Today, clients want to invest. Why are we bringing that? All clients have more than two cards. Currently, all clients have more than two cards. The ATM is not working. Nearest ATM, the ATM is currently not working. So those are not a good UX writing. All right. The don't part are not a good UX writing. So avoid synonym. All right. So synonyms have a central role in prose and poetry, but not in UX writing. So avoid several names for the one object or action. Don't make users think on what do you mean by different words. So what do we mean by that? How to do that is use active words. Okay. So in active word, we say use active word if users need to do something. It should be clear that the subject is the one doing the action. So you sent $500, or yes, $50. $50 was sent by you. Yes, it was sent by me, I know. Okay. Enter email address. Email address should be filled in. Enter email address is okay, because we know, yes, That is where we want to fill in email address. Going through this other route of saying email address should be filled in is not necessary. Okay. Active voice. It should be clear that your subject is the one doing the action. What we just spoke about over there. So enter email address is just fine. No need to now come and say enter email address should be filled in. All right. So keep UI text short and focused. Don't start the sentence with "Are you sure?" Except are you sure? Not even except in a situation whereby you want to take an action. So the first word or the first, we always have the caption, which is always, let's say you want to take an action, delete. So you have delete as the caption, and then let's say as the label under it can now have, are you sure you want, that is fine. Are you sure you want to go ahead with the delete? You don't start with, are you sure you want to delete. So delete, are you sure you want to delete? That is okay. So this is what we have here. Save changes, register to vote, register to vote. Well, that is my bad. So would you like to save your changes? We know it is changes you want to save. You must register before you can vote. That is not a good UX writing. All right. So this is where we are talking about avoid synonyms. All right. So don't keep your users guessing. Okay. Don't keep your users guessing. Use active voice, and it has to be short and focused. That is one of the things. Short and focused. Save changes. That's fine. And register to vote. That's fine. All right. So imperative verb. Start sentences with imperative verb when telling users what action they can take. Don't use permissive languages like you can or please. As I said earlier, most of us are victims, or we are um, we do this. We use please so much. Please enter your username. Please enter your password and the likes of it. All right. So use an imperative verb and not permissive languages. All right. So edit your photo. So that is good to go. Yeah, you can edit your photo. Please edit your photo. It is not a good UX writing. All right. So also present tense, use present tense. It helps users to scan text quickly. So whenever possible, replace future tense with present one. So what we mean by that is date is displayed according to the time zone. Date will be displayed according to time zone. That is not a good UX. Message sent, message has been sent is not a good UX writing. So message sent is perfect. It is a good it is a present tense telling users, oh yes, this is what has been done. All right. So the use of the word please, avoid it. Delete two folders. Are you sure you want to delete two folders? Delete two folders is fine. Leave the project. It won't be safe. That is fine. Are you sure you want to leave your project to be safe? Most people uses this a lot. Like I've seen this a lot, but it is not a good UX writing. All right. So just tell users delete two folders, or you're asking delete two folders. They know, right? It's a question already. So going ahead to say, are you sure you want to delete two folders? Well, it's not a good UX and good UX writing. All right, so we have here save changes. Would you like to save changes? Ha. Well, that's why I made the changes. I want to save them. All right, register to vote. You must register to vote. We talked about this too. So, and also, I think this is a duplicate. All right. So use plain languages. So when we say uses of plain languages, what do we say? It is going to help users when you use plain languages. So help users by simplifying your text. Write source sentences. Be clear, direct, and to the point. All right. Edit unnecessary or repeated words. Avoid jargons. and always choose a short, simple words over a long and complicated one. So here we have, you will learn how to work with photo editor. In this lesson, you might, well, you're keeping me guessing. I might, so why am I coming here if you will not? So I might learn how to work with photo editor, a tools that help you edit any. It's too long, and the word might is already a turn off for users. All right, help users. So just tell them that this particular course is helping, will help them work with photo editor. All right, so scan it. So user scan. So use headings and bullets to make your content easier to scan. So we now have here how to connect your page. We now have bulletin that is now telling me all the steps. The first step is I have to proceed to settings. After that, I have to click connect, which thereafter I will now have to choose country or business, which I will now have to accept terms and conditions, which, well, but looking at my right hand side, the don't part of it. To connect your page, you need to go to the setting page, comma, well, the command, it's not a good, because now you are now giving users a lot of work to do. Okay, so just this is easier for users to scan and to understand. All right, so use everyday words. So I try to avoid words you would not say to someone else in person. So these features also allow you, in addition, these features allow you, these types of, when we are talking about this, words you will not say to persons, in our everyday communication, when we are communicating, most time we don't use in addition, except when we are trying to, remember I said in everyday life, not in when you are doing presentation or when you are doing debate or whatsoever. All right. So in addition is not necessary. So just say these features also allow you to. That's fine. Follow these steps to change your password. Use this procedure that is too big of a word, right? To change your password. These steps is okay. And also be clear. All right. So if there are several synonyms for the word, try to use the simplest and the short one. Don't try to show users that, well, you are an English guru, that you know English well, you know synonyms. You can change, you can use heavy words where I can just use a simple word. So make it easy for your users. Be clear about what you are talking about. So example, we have to, but instead you are now using in order to. Also, in addition, use, you are saying utilize, employ, that is not necessary. Use, I've done the work. Also, I've done the work too. I've just done the work already. All right. Also, write out all reading levels, or write for all reading levels. Right. So use common words that are clear and easily understandable across all reading levels. So this is when it comes to, is the person a techie? Does the person did the person go to school or whatsoever? Did the person whatever level, be it primary, it isn't supported on your device. It is simple. It's only supported on dual core devices. Well, what is dual core? Does my system not have dual core? Or my phone does not have dual core? What is dual core? I'll now have to go through to search simple stuff that I wanted to do. I'll now look at what is dual core? Like, okay, so dual core, okay, how, and how, so things like that. So just say it's simple. I think Play Store does this. They will just tell you it isn't supported on your device, or the region you are isn't supporting this app. That is okay. All right. So closing and recap. UX writing improves user experience by making interfaces easy to understand and to navigate. And also, good microcopy guides users through tasks smoothly and efficiently. All right, then clarity and simplicity are essential. Users should never feel confused. Consistent tone and language build trust and familiarity across your product, right? Then also, first, user first language ensure the content speak directly to users' need. Context matters. Adjust tone depending on the situation. Example, if it is an error text, your context should be in terms of error. If it is success, it should also be in terms of success. All right, effective UX writing reduces support needs by preventing users errors and frustration. So when your UX writing is perfect, users will, if they encounter errors, they will now know how to go ahead and maneuver the error. Now, if it is success, they'll know how to go, oh, it is successful. If it is frustration, they'll now know, oh, why am I frustrated? Like, they will not be frustrated because your UX writing is actually going to help them sort out this. All right. So it complements design by enhancing the usability of visual interfaces. As I said earlier, your UX writing is a part of your interface. If your UX writing is not good, if your text, your copy writing is not good, then your uh, your interface will not be usable that freely by users. And also, good UX writing is invisible. User focuses on completing their task and not the text. All right. So your UX has to help users complete their tasks. It doesn't, we don't care about how good your English is being constructed. We don't care about how, um, well, how your, what's the word, how good you are with synonyms. All right. So it is critical part of UX design, not just nice to have context. It is okay. So it is a critical part. Your UX writing is a critical part of your design. Okay. So we have come to the end of today's class. So to learn more, resources are here, and you can get access to your to design to all these file from your LMS. Okay, it is there on your LMS. If you go to classroom, you are going to see the uh you are going to see it being uploaded there on the classroom, and you're also going to have the video as a resources there. So you can go ahead to learn more about this, and also a lot more. Okay. Okay, so you can now ask your question if there is any question. Today's class was informative, which I believe there should be no challenge whatsoever. This has helped us in terms of being a better product designers. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, is there any question? Do we have any question whatsoever? If you do, you can lift up your hand. Okay, so if since there is no question, I'm just going to open the floor for unrelated question about not necessarily about the class, but maybe something that you are having trouble with. Okay, what do you have trouble with? All right, Gibbs, go ahead.
Okay, sir. Good evening, sir. Good evening,
Yeah, good.
everyone. Thank you, sir, for the class. Okay, my
All right.
question is, this last task environment. I don't know what I'm not doing right because I've done everything. I've listened to the class over and over again, and I've tried to apply everything, but I'm not still getting a good result on my responsiveness. I don't know what I'm not doing well.
Okay, that's why you have the platform. So things like this, reach out. If I have time, I scheduled a workshop for us hands on. Then we now look at it together. You share your screen, I share my screen. Then we now work on it together. Also, if you share things like this on the platform, your fellow colleague could say, "Oh yes, I know how to do this, because if we teach each other, when I was learning, I was teaching persons while learning. Okay, I was teaching persons while learning. So those are things we can do. As you don't just say, oh yes, I know how to do this, then keep to yourself. Because the more you explain it to others, the more you learn it, or the more you understand it better by and by. Okay, so reach out on the platform. If by the end of tomorrow nobody is helping you with it, then I will schedule a sorry, by the end of, let's say, between today and 2 p.m. tomorrow, nobody is reaching out, I will reach out and then help you out with it. I just hope you'll be ready by, let's say, between the hours of 3 and 4. Okay, tomorrow. And anybody that wants to join this thing, you are free to join. We'll share our screen and then we'll work on designs together and then see what has been our constraints so far. I hope that's fine with you, Gift.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So any other person? So I will take that as everyone, we are fine, and then we are good to go. Keep tabs on your friends, keep tabs on your colleagues. If there are anyone, it's not late. So even if someone is in stage 1, person can still meet up. Okay, think we are just 50% into the training, so the person can still meet up. Okay, so grading, yeah, will be faster. There are reasons why I'm delaying your gradings, because if I enter the board, if I grade you, that's your score. There's nothing that is going to make you go more than that. Okay, so just make sure that you still refined your design. I'm going to look at the UI very well, like, because functionality is good, but when it comes to that your UI is not user appealing, well, you are going to pursue customers, or you're going to pursue users. Okay, so your UI has to also be neat, all pixel, all points, your scale, avoid decimal points, your scaling and the rest. I'm going to take time to actually grade you people this time around. I think I already gave that announcement on the group, if we actually did check that out. So that will be all for today. We'll meet on Friday. On Friday, class is going to be questions and answer. Okay, so we are going to keep tabs on, let's see, so far so good, what we have been taught. Is there, do we understand it, or are we just coming to classes without? And then there's also going to be a prize for the winner. If most of us here are part of the community, there's what we used to do in KodeCamp, after every cohort, we do what we call games night, and then we always gift people. I think Vera should know about that. I think that should be someone, I think I've been there. Yes. So that's how our Friday is going to be. Then we are going to look at something very appealing, something very but we are just going to look it up on the surface, what we call AI. No, not AI. We are going to look at what do we call this? We are going to look at AR, yes, AR and VR. Okay, for most of us that know of AR and VR, so that is in our curriculum. Okay, and then think one of these, you are also going to look at advanced prototyping. Most of us, you know how to prototype, but we are going to learn prototyping using variables too. So if you don't understand using this way, like just these basics of um of prototyping, well, I wonder how you are going to prototype using variables. It's going to be very interesting. Also, we are also going to look at developers, Figma developers, and of how to, and after designing, how do you make it easy for your designers, or sorry, for a developer to bring your product to life? And then we are going to work on I told us that we are going to have case studies and we are going to build our portfolio. So we are going to do that. Then we are going to have 2 weeks without classes, which is supposed to um, help you prepare for your capstone project. That particular phase is always studious. You will not sleep. When I was doing my capstone, I never found sleep, and till now it's affecting me. Sleeping now is a problem. So that will be all for today. Tell others about they should the class is getting, I think most today network was a little bit not that bad, but I think in some area it is bad. So I think that should be the reason the class have reduced today. And also let's come prepare for a quiz section on Friday, which also I might also merge it with preparing for interviews. So if you applied for a course, sorry, if you applied for a job and then you are being called to be interviewed, this is one of the things that they could ask you. So we might not only look at, oh, this section, oh, what we have done in general. We look at, I think I'm just going to target preparing for interview. Okay, so I think that's what I'm going to target at. All right, so have a wonderful day and see you on Friday.
Thank you, sir. Good night, everyone.
All right.